everybody. This is an exciting time of the year where we get to celebrate here the birth of Jesus and to start a new year. And just want to encourage you guys all to calm your hearts and just to be concentrating on God, be focused on Him. There's so many things in this world that can be getting in front of us and turn us away from God. I want to really encourage you all to just stay focused on Him and keep your eyes upon Him. This church that we have here is I'd say it's a very special thing that we have going on, especially within the Seventh-day Adventist community. It is nice to be able to welcome everyone through these doors and be able to love on them and to bless them. We have our Sabbath morning services. We also have a Bible study on Sunday mornings at 10 a.m. if you guys want to come in and hang out. And that is a more in-depth Bible study. On the third Sabbath of the month, we have our pantry open. It's also open all the time for if you need clothes or just something to get you by for the day. So nothing special going on this coming week. We just have our normal Bible studies. So let's continue in our worship through giving. Today's offering is for our church budget, and if you feel led to give, then there's the box back there. And I think this guy next to me might have something to say.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, a couple more things. First, this coming Thursday, as I promised, where's our brother Jeff at? He not in here? Thursday, through the Bible, starting in the beginning, okay, 7 o'clock Thursday night, and we're going to keep going until we get all the way through, right?
Right.
All right.
Genesis 1:1.
Genesis 1:1, yeah. So in case we didn't have enough Bible studies going, there's another one coming, all right? So,
The men's group wouldn't hurt either.
oh, well, there is that, but we'll get you hooked up with that. So
Thursday night,
Thursday night,
7
7 o'clock,
7
yeah.
o'clock.
And then it's going to be ongoing.
Genesis
So,
1:1.
yeah, because I was getting bored. I didn't have anything to do on
Are you
Thursday.
going to be able to finish the whole Bible in 1 year?
No.
How about Genesis?
We might make it through Genesis. And then right after the service today, my brother Matt Calder, wherever he is, right here, he wants to, we're going to co-lead kind of an informal meeting after church to talk about how we can better serve and help the situation that's going on down there at Marion Square Park. So anyway, we're just talking about brainstorm with that, and everybody's ideas are welcome with that. So we're going to just have that conversation. So anyway, God bless you. Sorry, Brian.
Well, awesome. Okay, yeah, like I said, there's an offering in the back if you feel led to give. And we'll continue on with worship. This is Open the Eyes of My Heart.
Open the eyes of my heart, Lord.
You are down. I'm alive without your spirit is within me, because you died and rose again. One more time. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were down. I'm alive without your spirit within me, because you died and rose again. Amazing love. Amazing love. How can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you. I'm forgiven. I'm forgiven because you were forsaken. I'm accepted. You were down. I'm alive without your spirit is within me, because you died and rose again. Amazing love. Amazing love. How can it be that you, my King, will die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you, my King. You are my King. You are my King. Jesus, you are my King. You are my King. Jesus, you are my King. Yes, you are my King. Amazing love, how can it be that you, my King, would die for me? Amazing love, I know it's true. It's my joy to honor you in all I do. I honor you in all I do. I honor you in all I do. I honor you. We fall down, we lay our crown at the feet of Jesus. Greatness of His mercy and love at the feet of Jesus. We cry, holy, holy, holy. sound we make is a sweet sound in your ear. We pray that we would remember that every time we talk to somebody, that it needs to be a sweet sound in your ear, Lord. Every time we talk to you, it is a sweet sound, Lord. We know that whatever we ask, that you will answer our prayer, Lord. That your will be done, and it will be in our best interest, and you will bless us, Lord, with whatever we need. We thank you for that, Lord. Thank you for all the blessings you give us. We ask that during this time, worshiping through your word, that your spirit will be here with us, Lord. In your name, and all God's people say, Amen.
So good to see so many of our friends and family. And well, if you're here, you're family. So forget the friends part, right? new people and people I've known for a while. Everybody, welcome. I'm glad you're here. When I was a kid, I was a little rambunctious. Some of you have heard the stories about me deciding it would be a good idea to ride my bicycle on the roof of the house and things like that. I thought it was fun to play, demolition derby on my bike. We had this big hill that we come down out of the woods, and there was a bunch of blackberry briars and a fence, barbed wire fence, posts and stuff in there. And my friends and I, my cousin, we would have races down the hill, and there was no way you're going to make the corner at the bottom of the hill, so the only way you could stop was to run through those blackberry briars into the fence. And bleeding was honorable. Sometimes we hit the post. I can't tell you how many times I hit my head, and now you know the issues that I have. In the book of Titus, we're talking about individuals that had some problems with the way they were thinking and then also with their conscience. I see a lot of hope in that, even though he's talking about some false prophets, but he's saying there's a difference in the word that's used there between mind and the place where I reason and conscience. What actually means joined knowledge. In other words, the place where we join with God. Amen. And He speaks to us. Amen. So I have good news that whatever any of us have done to our head, whatever has happened to our reasoning, right? Are you tracking with me? Yeah. That it does not cut us off from the joined knowledge with God. Amen. Isn't that awesome? Yes. That if you've met a person, any place, anytime, anywhere, they have this joined knowledge with God that comes from Him and Him only. Amen. Let us never make a negative assessment about a person, because they commune with God too. It's good news. In John chapter 1, as we follow up on the Christmas story, some of you know this really well. And it says in John 1, verse 4, the Word gave life to everything that was created, and His life brought light to everyone. This is not probably the best translation. A more literal translation indicates that we share the light that He brought. It's in us. That it wasn't something that we come and observe, but instead it's something that inhabits us. So the Word came and was the epitome of that which is living in us. In the form of Jesus Christ, the life of God Himself. What an awesome thought. When Jesus was saying that He was the good shepherd and that His sheep know His voice. Well, of course they do. And who are His sheep? All of us. I like that. Is that you, Larry? Oh, man. I don't want to be hard on you, but don't tell me you can't hear God's voice, because I know Jesus is not a liar. Pay attention. He joined with you. We didn't join with Him. It was of His doing, not of my doing. It wasn't of your doing.
And if there's a person that is breathing, God desires to be with them. He never stops. The Word that gave life to everything, the epitome of Jesus Christ, the light into the world, that which is inside of you. Cool thing is that Jesus also taught that it wasn't about the exterior when he was telling the religious leaders, right? The religious leaders, and they were trying to make themselves look all good on the outside. And they were trying to dress just right. They were trying to make all of their deeds just right. And they wanted to pray just right. And they wanted to do religious services just right. And they wanted to make sure that everyone saw that they only did certain things according to the laws that they had made. And that they washed their hands when they were supposed to, and all of those things. And Jesus says, man, look, you're missing that. It's the inside. It's what's on the inside. Remember when they were choosing a king, and Samuel said, man, people look on the outside, but God looks inside. You know why he looks inside? Because he's inside. He is inside. Inside out. That would be a good name for a church, Larry. Yeah. That's why he sees the inside, is because he's in there. I've met too many people that think they're too bad to walk into a church. They feel like the roof is going to fall down or something bad's going to happen. Look, here's the thing. I don't believe there's a single bad person. Think about it. If you want to see something good in someone, look for it and you will find it.
Amen. Amen.
And when you speak to the good in somebody, that good will rise up above all the things that come flowing from the damage and the dysfunction and the problems and all those things, and the good will bubble up. If the light that's living in you is inside and looks at the inside, guess what he's looking at? Let him speak to the good in you and let it bubble up. You are not the mistakes you've made. That is not your identity.
Amen.
Light came into the world, became flesh, that which is in you. The life of God himself. I like that part of the Christmas story.
I love that.
Don't you? You know, when I was in school, I tried to be a good kid. Maybe some of you relate to this. But I was that kid that also ran into fences and stuff, right? And I didn't fit well in a classroom. So a guy that's honorable to go bleed in a barbed wire fence and stuff and crash into stuff, make jumps that were dumb and you knew you were going to get hurt, but you did it anyway. Right? To sit in a classroom, I don't know, that's not the right environment. It wasn't working for me. I worked hard and I tried to get good grades and all of that, and for many years I was considered the good kid. And then something happened, and man, I thought it'd be cool to have long hair. The simple act of growing long hair tagged me as a bad kid. Why would people care about how long your hair was or how short it was, but whatever, all of a sudden I was treated like I was a bad kid. So I decided to be one. I lived up to the thing that people were expecting from me. And God sees good in you. Let Him speak to the good in you. Let Him speak to the light that He placed in you. That's who you really are. Has nothing to do with what you did earlier today, last week, a year ago, 10 years ago. Because God's love is not conditional upon what you've done. He cares so much about you that He planted His very life inside you. So it goes on. And then He lets us participate in what He's doing, and this is the cool part. The light shines in the darkness, and the darkness can never extinguish it. So the thing is, that thing that's shining in you, darkness can't overpower it.
Or comprehend it.
That's right, brother. Sorry for bringing this up again, but I can't help looking at my friend Gypsy Larry that day when we prayed over the guy that had the evil spirit. And God saved him. You remember the words he said when his body went relaxed and all? You remember this, Larry? He goes, "My Lord Jesus Christ is my Lord and Savior, the Creator of all things, and today He has set me free." It was awesome. The light that was already in him. It was not the evil spirit that identified him. It was the light of God in him.
Amen.
Speaking to the light of God, accepting that as your reality. You're God's kid. You're not the enemy's kid.
Where two or more are gathered, that's where you will be.
That's right, brother.
We are the church.
We are the church, it's not the building. Even though we got cool checkered floors. Yeah? And the checkered awning, right? Probably relates to our checkered past, doesn't it? Right?
That's a good.
Yeah.
Or bipolar.
Yeah.
No,
Yeah.
for sure, it was sure too.
Yeah. Yeah, it's all saying the same thing, isn't it?
This little liar.
Yeah, it's a good song. Maybe Brian will help us sing that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Verse 6 talks about John the Baptist, and he did what he was supposed to do, and he was not the light, but he was a witness to tell about the light. Verse 9, the one who is the true light, who gives light to everyone, was coming into the world. Verse 10, he came into the very world he created, but the world didn't recognize him because they had bought into a different identity. What do you believe your identity is? Remember last week when we were here, do you remember what I was saying? Maybe a good way to have your surname be? Like, right? Don, rather than Don Cook, Don of Jesus Christ. Debbie of Jesus Christ. Larry of Jesus Christ. Because you are of the Creator. You are of Jesus Christ. I'm not saying you are Jesus Christ, but you're of Him. That is your identity. That is your heritage. That's your connection. And so today, that not just that you're of Him, but that He's in you and you're in Him. You ever walk into a place and you just know the presence of God is there? You ever just be around somebody and just by being near them, you know the presence of God is there? It's because He is. Because He is there. This isn't theology, guys. This isn't something from a seminary. This is not something that's part of a list of fundamental orthodoxy. This is reality. This is not something that we transfer knowledge to each other from, although we talked about the brain being able to do that, to have knowledge and to reason. But God didn't stop at that. He wanted a deeper connection. So He placed His Spirit in us. Well, Paul says something very bizarre to us where he says, you have the mind of Christ. It's not blasphemy for you to admit that that's a reality by the Spirit of God. Because you're not saying you're Him, you're just saying that by Him, you are connected with Him. You are joint knowing. Because the things of God, He wants to reveal to every single one of us. Yeah, we are His hands and feet. That's why He called us His body. Body. Not an institution. Not a 501c3.
Right.
A living body expressing the light to the world, that which is from inside going out.
Marked it.
Yeah.
Yeah, marked it, huh? Yeah,
John was always trying to connect the things from above and the things from below, and he was always expressing that. You can see that in the book of Revelation, where he's speaking of the things that he sees from the heavens and the things on the earth and the symbols and so on. And so in 1 John, he speaks in a similar manner also, when he brings God not only in word, but also in reality, when he talks about God being in you.
No, it's your dad.
I wonder what would happen
I wonder what would happen
if we would take on the reality that every place we go,
and ask them why they did it.
with our reasoning ability,
Why are
we
they-
acknowledge the fact that it's not just me being there, but it's God and me being there. And then when I reason that, and then I allow Him to connect in the joint knowing, right? Where we walk by the Spirit. We walk by what God is expressing to us. You ever have that sense where you can't explain it, you just know it? And it's so hard because you try to explain it to somebody else in the reasoning, but you're connecting in the joint knowing with God, and it's hard for you to express that sometimes. So you can just say, I just know it. I don't know how to tell you how or why, I just know it. Before I became a pastor, Simona came home and I had been praying and I was kind of a mess. And I told her, I said, I have to leave the church and I can't be around anyone and I can't tell anyone why I'm not going to be around the church. And she goes, are you sure about that? Because some people are going to be upset because they're going to think it's about them. And I said, I just know it. I was talking to God and He told me that I have to just walk away. I didn't get it because I loved the church and I knew the church loved me. I wasn't walking away from God. I wasn't walking away from the body of Christ. I was walking away from that particular congregation. And it was because God was taking that situation to actually place me as the pastor of that congregation I walked away from. And it wouldn't have happened any other way. I had no idea. It seemed off the wall and crazy. It was so weird going to other churches. It's the weirdest thing ever. It's like, God, I don't get it. But I know it. I didn't get it, but I knew it because I was joined with God in knowing, but I didn't have the reason to know why. But I didn't need to have the reason to know why, probably because I'd ran into too many fence posts. I don't know. But then I got called by the elders, and I remember Sean over here, he goes, "Hey Dale, would you go meet us at Starbucks?" I hadn't seen my brothers and sisters for a long time. That was awful. They're all there, and they're like, "We'd like to ask you to be the pastor of the church."
Were you scared?
Maybe, yeah. Maybe.
I would.
And then the reasoning and the knowing had to come into play, because that day, earlier, I had been asked to go and be considered to pastor another church. And so all of a sudden, the joint knowing with God and the reasoning, I had to balance those two things.
Not so easy.
Well, you know the rest of the story. We're all here together. You guys got yourself a crazy pastor, and here we are.
Amen.
We got the right one.
Sometimes we just know. We can't reason why. Because maybe if we reasoned and understood why, we wouldn't follow the thing that we know.
Amen. Amen.
So in 1 John 4:4, one of those famous verses. But you belong to God, my dear children. Don't you love those words? You're my dear children. Laverne, some of you knew Laverne Neighbors. She was an awesome person. And whenever you were with her, she was talking to you and God at the same time.
Amen.
And so she would be speaking to the Father, and she'd go, "Isn't that right, Father?" She's looking at you, and she's saying, my brother dear," or she'd call me dear one. I don't think that was unique to me. She'd call, everyone was her dear one. And she'd say, "Dear one, my brother Dale." And then she'd go on and talk about some beautiful thing about the attributes of God. And then she'd say, "Isn't that right, Father?"
Amen.
Every conversation was like this. Some people thought her cheese had slipped off her cracker, but I know for real, an absolute reality, that her and God had a thing.
Communication.
Her and God were in constant, joint knowing together. He was speaking to her in conscience. And he had given her the ability to reason so that it was her reality in all conversation and in all things in her life. So when it says dear children, I hear Laverne's voice, "Dear one." You are all dear ones. Man, if Laverne was here today, she'd be hugging all over every single one of you. And if she could, she'd take you all home. Not joking. But you belong to God, my dear children. You have already won a victory. See, check this out. There's a lot of people fighting a lot of stuff. Just today as I came in, the broken hearts, the losses, the challenges, trying to overcome addictions and things like that. This whole week has been about that. Having somebody in my vehicle that was in such a bad way all day, trying to hurt themselves and so on. And Lord, tell them they already won. Tell them they already won. Yeah.
War is over. War is over.
The war's over, Larry.
We have the Lord to thank.
That's right.
We could have peace inside our hearts and peace inside our minds and soul.
Yeah.
Because we know our Father is there to keep his hand upon us.
That's right.
Amen.
Amen. Can we tell each other that it's already done? You're already victorious. Yeah, my brother.
All right. So let's go back to our God.
Yeah.
Right? So if he's king of us
Yeah.
and we're joint heirs, wouldn't that make us queens?
And king, and princes, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So if we're supposed to be joint heirs with him, why aren't we tapping into his redemptive power?
That's a good sermon right there. Because it's readily available all the time.
Amen.
Without end and without measure.
With all our hearts.
Ask and you shall receive.
When we're joint heirs, that means we're together. And everything that he's done on this earth, we should be doing today.
Amen. You all hear that?
And all of our emotions are given
That's a good word.
to love one another, not to hurt each other. That's what you do.
That's right. That's right. I've seen so many evidences of the victory that was already won in individuals that I've got the privilege of being with this week. I could probably write 3 books just about this week and about the things that God has just shown. Not what I've done or what others have done, but just what God is revealing in the lives of those that we encounter. The light inside of them that gets spoken to and then bubbles out. Remember it was John that was saying, springs of living water flowing from inside. We are. The representative of that rock that followed the people in the desert, and water flowed from it. For Paul says it followed them wherever they went. And he said that rock was Jesus. So if you have springs of living water, where's that coming from? It's the light that he put in you, that which is his very life. You're more than victorious. You have already won a victory over all these things. And it says, because the Spirit who lives in you is greater than the Spirit who lives in the world.
Amen.
Amen.
We shouldn't live our life as though we're defeated.
Or fear.
Right?
There's no love in fear. Fear will cast down all love, all hope.
You're full of all kinds of good sermons, brother. That's a perfect one. Yeah, that's right. That's straight on.
It doesn't prove it.
Yeah.
It doesn't work that way, because guess what?
See, the Christmas story wasn't just about a baby that was born.
Pretty much.
It was about a new reality.
Yeah.
The promised reality. In fact, you can say that it's both the new reality and the original reality, because that was what God created Adam and Eve with. That light that enshrouded them, where was that from? It was the life of God himself inside of them that both was what made them function but also clothed them. That wherever they went, they were both filled with light, and light was overflowing all around them. So the new era of Jesus Christ is the original era. By his doing, he's taken us to such a privileged place. Yeah,
The way it was seen was right to a man, and the end is a destruction.
that's right.
Be careful what we think, be careful what we know, and be careful what to do with it.
Yeah.
Exactly. You should have
You know,
asked before
you can actually curse somebody by what you
That's how
say,
you feel.
by how they take it, by what you said.
You should have asked before you did it,
And so
because I can
sometimes we
feel.
gotta watch what we speak
See, I can
around
feel.
others. Because that
wanna
might
run
affect
off.
another person
You fucking
differently.
know it.
And you might actually cast out all of your hope just
You
by
don't
what
even
you
give a
said.
fuck. Look at it.
That's right.
You ain't gonna give a fuck.
That's right.
Yeah? But what about
So if we
that?
look to speak
You
to the
go
light
sin
inside,
debts and you get prostitute,
and we look for the good
Yeah.
inside,
or what? For the same
And we look to
prostitute
love,
across the street? No different.
looking into
The whole
that.
street was prostitutes.
doesn't that change? Doesn't that change the way we view somebody else, and then doesn't it change the way you view yourself, and where those two
You told
things
everybody
meet?
You were mean, and then you run outside.
We could call that magic, but it's not, it's just the reality of Jesus Christ. I wonder if there's a person in here that wasn't broken in some way in life, and I think I know the answer to that. Right. But God wasn't the one that did the breaking. He's the one doing the recreating. Focus on the Creator, who is the recreator. The light that lives in you. Not that which other people may tag you with all kinds of different ideas about who they think you are. My identity is not being a pastor. That's a gift God gave. That's not my identity. My identity is this: I am Dale of Jesus Christ.
Amen.
I'm sticking with that. Brian, why don't you help us sing, would you?
James 1:16.
Yeah.
Don't be deceived. Every good and perfect gift is from above, coming down from the Father of heavenly lights. He doesn't change. Like shifting shadows. as you go out in the streets, as you go out with your families, you see your friends, bless them,